This day in Philly sports history is proud to be a part of the Clashing Conferences Sports Fan Network, where passionate fans make powerful content. Check out theclashingconferences.com and join the squad today. What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly sports history for July 1st, 2026. I'm your host, Joe Montgomery. Welcome to a Wednesday edition of the podcast. Happy hump day to everyone out there. It's going to be a hot one. Make sure you drink plenty of water and be safe out there. Be safe. But let's start, especially if you're going to the Phillies game. Should be a good one tonight. You got Paul Skeens versus Zach Wheeler. But last night was a good bounce back for the Phils. 8-0 win. Christopher Sanchez, despite cutting his finger or getting a brush blister or something, was able to go 7 innings, struck out 9, only gave up 3 hits. More importantly, saved the bullpen after Nola's disastrous outing the other day. But offensively for the Phils, Trey Turner starting to heat up. As Charlie used to say, it's hitting season. You gotta love it. He hit a homer, double, 3 RBI. Justin Crawford, 3 for 3 with 3 RBI. I like the way the team is able to be resilient. I know it's only the Pirates. I get all that. But I've seen this team kind of fold after a disaster like they had yesterday or the night before. So good bounce back. And speaking of Nola, I'm not really sure what's going to happen with him. Lots of talk about that yesterday. Everybody kind of shifting and trying to figure out what the trade deadline plan should be. I don't know if you do Rangel as the 4th starter and then use Nola as bullpen games. I think everybody was saying, oh, well, he was good for a couple of the innings and then kind of fell apart. But I feel like this has been his MO really the past 2 seasons, just not able to get deep in the innings. And there was a point in time not that long ago where he was able to be an innings eater. Even in his interview, he seems perplexed by it, which only leads me, and I mentioned this yesterday, but it happens fast. I wouldn't be surprised if there's possibly a injury on his future as he tries to figure it out. But we saw this with Roy Halladay. You just kind of all of a sudden lose it. And to Nola's credit, he's pitched over 1,800 innings, I think I saw. So maybe you got so many bullets and he's running low on bullets right now. So I don't know what the answer is. I think Rangel could be a serviceable starter. I don't know if lots of people were talking about possibly bringing Taijuan Walker back, and I don't know if that solves the issue. I think if you would bring Taijuan Walker back to be the Aaron Nola spot, that to me is essentially the same guy. So Dombrowski has his work cut out for him, but as it stands, good win, 8-0 for them. Should be a good one down at the bank tonight. Stay cool out there. I know how hot that stadium gets on 100-degree days like this. So just be safe, but enjoy it. Skeens Wheeler tonight at the bank. We saw some life from the Sixers overnight. Reported that they are going to be signing Dean Wade. Dean Wade. I keep wanting to say D Wade, and it's not D Wade. It's Dean Wade to a 4-year, $39 million contract out of their mid-level exception budget. I think this was expected. This is one of Mike Ganzi's success stories. It's Mike Ganzi's boy. I like it, though. He's a forward who can shoot, play really good D. Essentially, I see that I would imagine that this is meaning the end of Kelly Oubre. And I got to say, I think he's probably a slight upgrade over Oubre. And I like the way Oubre played. I liked what Oubre brought. But I think Dean Wade is a slight upgrade over Oubre. Again, especially with the defense. He has the size and he can shoot more consistently, I think, than Oubre. Now, whether he plays the 3 or the 4 remains to be seen. I have a feeling he's going to play a little bit of both. I would expect him to probably play more of the 4. Maybe that opens things up more for Paul George. I don't know. And again, they didn't have a ton of money. Didn't expect any big splashes unless there's a trade coming. But I do think what this whole season comes down to is the health of Joe and Paul George anyway. So I think if this is who you're going to bring in, it's a slight upgrade over Oubre. Are the Sixers better than they were a couple months ago? Maybe. Again, it all depends on Joe and Paul George. But I think on paper, I think you got to assume that they're slightly better than they were. And while I'm talking about the Sixers, I have to address something that I heard on the radio yesterday, and I haven't had to do this in a while. A lot of times on the midday show, Kyle Quinn was using a lot of my ideas for questions of the day and things like that, but it could have been coincidence too. This one is blatant because I've never heard anyone else. I know I've heard people use the saying, I've heard people use the quote, but never in regards of the Sixers and Joel Embiid. On the afternoon show yesterday, Elliott Shore-Park used a phrase when talking about the Sixers and Joe's health that you've heard me say many times. He was like, not causing a Lucy in the football moment or not being Lucy with the football. And it's like, dude, that is my line when it comes to the Sixers and Joel Embiid. I fall for it every time. And again, I don't mind you using my stuff. Give a brother a shout out. I mean, come on. Whether it's on one of your Birds podcasts or something, like, that is my line. You obviously took that line from me. Just give me some credit for it. I mean, how many times do I say Lucy with the football? I send it in every text chain that I'm in when the Sixers and everything come up and I start believing again. I send the picture, the GIF, whatever you want to call it, of Lucy with the football. Elliot, give me some credit, dude. Come on, man. Or at least like and subscribe. That would be a bigger help too. But, man, stealing my line when it comes to the Sixers, I should have patented that. Ugh. Anyway, we'll have more as the Sixers go through free agency. Not sure who they're going to sign. And I'm not sure if this is if Wade is going to take the Drummond role or if he's going to be a starter and take the Oubre role. So that's where it kind of, I like the fit. I really do. And I think for 4 years, probably looking to be more involved in the offense. We'll see if I still think they need a backup center. I don't think Wade is big enough to consistently be the guy that spells Joe. So we'll see what happens. But I like the signing of D Wade. And Elliot, come on, dude. Just give me a shout out. That's all I ask. A lot of people listen to your pockets. Give me a shout out. Send some people my way. The space is big enough. The space is big enough. Free agency for the NHL gets underway today at noon. Lots of rumors and everything for the Flyers. Likely going to make an attempt to re-sign Trevor Zegras, who's a restricted free agent. Probably extend Dan Vladar. And then hopefully add some pieces. I don't think you blow your cap. But I think there's some moves to be made that can make this team better. So looking forward to seeing what Danny has up his sleeve. World Cup action tonight. USA in the round of 32 out in Santa Clara taking on Bosnia and Herzegovina. The winner, or if they win, they would play the winner of the Belgium-Senegal game. So kind of a legitimate shot for the USA to make it to the round of 16. The quarterfinals. They should win tonight. But looking forward to that. And then the matchup for Saturday is set. It's going to be France and Paraguay at Philadelphia Stadium, aka the Link, in the round of 16 on the 4th of July. Mbappe is coming to Philly. So if it's not going to be the United States playing the 4th of July in Philly, Mbappe, one of the better players in the world. So that's a good get for the World Cup here in Philly. All right, yesterday's trivia question. I asked who holds the Phillies record for home runs in a month. That is a tie between Jim Thome in June of 2004 and then Cy Williams, May of 1923. Both hit 15 homers. So thank you to everybody who reached out for that. Lots of Ryan Howards, lots of Kyle Schwarber, but it was Jim Thome and Cy Williams sharing the record. Be sure to follow me on all social media platforms at Philly Jimbo. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Philly Jimbo as well. Subscribing to the YouTube channel, I always say that, but it really does help with the algorithm, helps get in the mix. And it'd be even better the more you comment on the YouTube videos. And if you could leave a review if you're listening on Spotify or Apple, all those things kind of help out with the general thing. So I appreciate it. You probably noticed the new opening today. Working on some different upgrades and things like that. So stay tuned for more things as the summer progresses. And I did look it up yesterday. I was using arbiter and arbitrator interchangeably. And according to Google Gemini, both can be used kind of interchangeably. Arbitrator is more in the legal sense of things, and it's somebody who is assigned to kind of figure out a case. Arbiter is a more generic term. So really both were correct. But in the case of the Eric Lindros trade, it should have been arbitrator because it was one specific person that was assigned to make the decision. So this is the English lesson portion of the podcast for today. Whether you're coaching Little League, crushing your fantasy league, or just rolling up to a bachelor party like a Philly legend, Lotwin Custom Hype Chains bring the energy. Fully customizable, totally unforgettable, and guaranteed to turn you into the MVP of the moment. Great for teams, groomsmen, or anyone who wants to show off with some serious swagger. Go to Lotwin.com, use the promo code TCCPOD, and get 10% off your own custom hype chain. Lotwin, let's get hyped together. All right, July 1st, and it's going to be hot today, but it's July. It's always hot in July. Let's go back to 1931. Phillies taking on the Cubs at the Baker Bowl, and it was sweltering, 100 degrees plus, and it was humid. But everybody turned out to see the Cubs and Phillies play. With the score tied at 3 in the top of the fourth, the Cubs had 2 on and no out. Batter hit a liner to second. Runners broke on the swing. Phillies turned the 4-3-6 triple play, stopped the Cubs' momentum, and then they used it to spark their own momentum. Chuck Klein hit for the cycle, 5 RBI, scored 3 runs himself. It was the first time he had hit for the cycle in his career. And it was also the first time in Major League Baseball history that there was a triple play and someone hit for the cycle in the same game. It's so rare that it's only happened one other time since then, and that was in 1996 in a game between the Red Sox and the White Sox. This game, however, still remains the only time a team had a player hit for the cycle as well as turn the triple play. And that Red Sox-White Sox game is the White Sox turning the triple play, John Valentin of the Red Sox hitting for the cycle. But Chuck Klein hits for the cycle, gives the fans, despite them being hot, something to cheer for as the Phillies beat the Cubs 11-6. Phillies turn a triple play as well in this game. And now this next one is one of my favorite things. It's where we can talk a little sports history, a little bit real history as well. And we're going to fast forward 10 years later to 1941. Phillies beat the Dodgers 6-4 at Ebbets Field up in Brooklyn. Stan Benjamin and Bobby Bragan each had 3 RBI for the Phillies. Remember those guys? Yeah, neither do I. Anyway, though, this game was more important not for what happened on the field, but for what happened before the game. Prior to July 1st, 1941, the FCC did not allow paid commercial advertisements on TV. TV at the time was still experimental, so they're still trying to figure it out. But July 1st, I guess the new rule or policy went into effect that you can have commercial advertisements on TV. So, taking advantage of it, WNBT of New York, which is now NBC, capitalized, and so did Bulova Watches. So Bulova paid $9 for a 10-second spot prior to this game, and it was very crudely done. They took a Bulova logo, put it on a blank map of the United States. At the time, it was just the 48 continental states. There was no Hawaii and Alaska at the time. It was all in black and white. They put everything together, videoed it, and as they were videoing it, a guy, Ray Farce, one of NBC's broadcasters, read the 10-second spot, and it simply was, "America runs on Bulova time." And there is your first ever official paid commercial advertisement before a sporting event or any TV show for that matter. Now, only about 4,000 people saw this because TVs were still very expensive. It was still an experimental thing. But the stage was set, and that's why now the Super Bowl, it's millions and millions and millions of dollars for a 30-second spot. But the first commercial advertisement before any TV show, but specifically a sporting event, Bulova Watches ran a 10-second ad paying $9 to WNBT, which would become NBC. So there is your history lesson for today. Phillies did win that game, though, 6-4 up at Ebbets Field. And then 10 years later after that, in 1951, Phillies pitchers Russ Meyer and Jim Constantine combined to one-hit the Dodgers up in Brooklyn once again. Problem was, the hit followed 2 walks and was a 2-run triple by Pee Wee Reese in the third. It also didn't help the Phils out that day that Don Newcomb pitched a complete game shutout. Phillies throw a one-hitter, lose the game 2-0. If that is not one of the more symbolic things of the history of this baseball team, I don't know what is. But Russ Meyer and Jim Constantine combined to one-hit the Dodgers, but that one hit was a 2-run triple. Phillies lose it 2-0. Sometimes you eat the bull or the bar. Sometimes the bar eats you. I think that's how the saying goes from The Big Lebowski. Either way, Phillies lose 2-0. And then in 2023, Kyle Schwarber hits a grand slam. Nick Castellanos hits a homer and 3 RBI. Alec Boehm goes 4 for 5 with 2 homers and 6 RBIs. Zach Wheeler only pitches 5 innings, gives up 4 earned runs, but it didn't matter as the Phillies explode for 19 runs on 18 hits, beating the Nationals 19-4. Offensive explosion. Would love to see that on a 100-degree day off of Paul Skeens. Probably not going to happen, though. But Phillies beat the Nationals 19-4 on this day. Alec Boehm, 2 homers, 6 RBI. Kyle Schwarber with a grand slam, and Nick Castellanos with 3 RBI as well. And that does lead us to today's trivia question. How many times in the Phillies' history have they scored 20 or more runs in a game? I was kind of surprised at this number. I thought it was lower than what I would have expected. But hit me up on the Back to the Future voice and text line, 267-495-8531. Get your thoughts on Dean Wade, what you think the Flyers are going to do, the Aaron Nola situation. And if you want to be like WIP, talk about Jalen Hurts, because why not? And ESP, give me a call. Just shoot me a text message. Say, hey, this is Elliott Shore Parks. I stole your line. That's all I need. That is all I need. Come on. Come on. All right, it is Wednesday. Time for a little What If Wednesday, brought to you by Lotwin. Get your 3D custom hype chains from Lotwin. These things are amazing. Go to Lotwin.com. Use the promo code TCCPOD to take 10% off your order. Spring, I guess you would still call it. Seasons are wrapping up. Travel tournaments, these things are great for them. Swimming season is in full effect. We're getting ready for soccer season. Was picking out uniforms and kits, I guess they're called, yesterday for my daughter. Just signed my son up for fall ball. All of those things make a great opportunity for hype change. Going on a bachelor party, all of that. Get ready for your fantasy football season. But go to lotwin.com for your 3D custom hype chains and use the promo code TCCPOD to take 10% off of your order. So I caught an audible for today. I was going to do a Sixers free agent what if. I still might revisit it with Tyler Halliburton. But I read an article or got an email from the Inquirer, and in honor of the Joe Frazier statue, they had like a little interactive game where it's like, who should be the next statue in Philly? Because Philly has statues of everybody. And it basically, there was like 25 different rounds, and it started off with 2 people. And then as you go, you keep picking who the next statue, and then that's who it is. I ended up picking Guion Bluford, the first African-American in space, as who should be the next statue, just because of the way the matchups were. So it was fun. So it got me thinking from a sports perspective. We've got a lot of sports statues in Philly. You got the Joe Frazier statue now at the Art Museum. There's 3 different Rocky statues floating around. Why? I don't know. He's the only one that wasn't real. But you got a lot of the ones down at Xfinity Live, Stateside Live, I should say, and around the Xfinity Mobile Arena. There's the Gary Dornhofer statue, Bobby Clark and Bernie Parent, Wilt, Doc, all of those guys. And then, of course, at the link, even though it's an advertisement, you have the Doug Peterson, Nick Foles statue. Mike Schmidt, Richie Ashburn, Steve Carlton, Harry Callis at Citizens Bank Park. But who should be next? And I think it's a good question. Do you do the Saquon leap because they won the Super Bowl that year? Reggie White, Brian Dawkins. Do the Phillies honor guys from the 08 team now that those guys are going into the Phillies Wall of Fame? If Chase Utley goes into the Hall of Fame, do you give a Chase Utley statue? I personally, I think if you're going to do a statue from the 08 team, you either do Lidge falling to his knees with Chooch running out, or you do the big 3 together, Utley, Howard, and Jimmy. I don't know. These are all good questions, but who would you like to see on a What If Wednesday? What if you got to choose the next sports statue in Philly? Who would it be? I think if it's me, I think it'd be cool around the link to have the Saquon leap. I just think it was an iconic play from that season. They won the Super Bowl. It was a historic season for Saquon. That would probably be my pick. But who do you got? Hit me up on the Back to the Future voice and text line. You're not going to be outside today because it's going to be too damn hot. So let's have some fun and interact on the Back to the Future voice and text line, 267-495-8531. But who would be your pick for the next Philly sports statue? And it doesn't matter where it goes. It can go anywhere. But Philly is a city of statues. And thought it was a cool thing. And I highly recommend, not getting paid by the Inquirer for this, but it was a fun way to kill about 10 minutes on Philly.com. But that is What If Wednesday, brought to you by Lotwin. Go to lotwin.com for your 3D custom hype chain and use the promo code TCCPOD to take 10% off of your order. All right, tournament time, brought to you by Beach Caddy. Go to beachcaddy.app if you're in Sea Isle, Ocean City, Wildwood, Avalon, Stone Harbor. They take the stress out of your Jersey Shore vacation. They'll move you in, move you out. Best beach carts on the Jersey Shore. Go to beachcaddy.app. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off your move in, move out, as well as your beach cart rentals, especially on a day like today. Do you really want to be going down to the shore? Maybe you're going down a little early to beat the rush. Do you want to be all sweaty moving your stuff in on a 100-degree day? Do you want to be struggling in the hot sand? No, let Beach Caddy take the stress out of it. All right, yesterday, Guy Rogers beat Kalia Copper with 67% of the vote to move on in the North region. Today, this is a good matchup. Going to the suburban region for a 3-6 matchup, Hank Gathers versus Michael Brooks. Let's start with Hank Gathers, Dobbins alum. He was all city. took them to help them go to 2 public league championship games. They won, beating South Philadelphia and Lionel Simmons, losing to Pooh Richardson the year before. But at this time, the public league was super, super competitive. He was the MVP of that championship game against South Philly, led Dobbins Tech to a 28-2 record. They were a national top 10 ranked team that year as well. From there, he went to USC before transferring to Loyola. I can never say that. Loyola Marymount. He was second-team All-American 2 times, led the nation in scoring and rebounding his junior year. He was West Coast Conference Player of the Year, 3-time All-West Coast Conference, first team twice. He was the MVP of the West Coast Conference Tournament. His number 44 is retired at Loyola, and obviously, tragic ending to his career. Never got to go to the NBA, but something tells me he would have dominated in the NBA. He would have been around the same class, because I think that somehow it overlapped somewhat in college, and he did well against LSU and Shaquille O'Neal. Shaquille was still young at the time. But Hank Gathers is the 3 seed out of the suburban region, taking on Michael Brooks, who went to West Catholic, averaged 27.3 points a game his senior year, was all Catholic League, all city, starred in the Sunny Hill Summer League, all-time West Catholic scorer. From there, went to LaSalle, helped them to 2 NCAA tournaments where he was the National Player of the Year in 1980. He is still, to date, the number 28 all-time scorer in NCAA history. He's in the LaSalle and the Big 5 Hall of Fame, was a number 9 overall pick with the Clippers, played in the CBA, and then excelled over in a French league. Very solid post-college career for Michael Brooks, but one of the better guys to ever come out of the city. So now it's your turn. Hank Gathers, Michael Brooks, who moves on? Get your vote in anywhere you can. Any of the social media platforms, Back to the Future voice and text line. Also, go to the Discord channel. The link is in the description. Let's have some good Philly sports talk today. But who moves on? Hank Gathers or Michael Brooks? I'm torn because I like both of these players. But let me know your thoughts. Also, who should have the next statue in Philly? I mean, it's a great question. And if you don't think it should be sports, what famous Philadelphian should get a statue? Like I said, I think I want to see the Saquon leap somewhere. I mean, why not? They won the Super Bowl that year. All right, on this day in 2023, Phils beat the Nationals 19-4. Offensive explosion. Alec Boehm with 2 homers. 1951, Phillies pitchers one hit the Dodgers, but lose it 2-0. First ever paid commercial advertisement on TV happened on this day before the Phillies-Dodgers game for Bulova watches. America runs on Bulova time. And then in 1931, on a hot day at the Baker Bowl, Phillies turned a triple play. Chuck Klein hits for the cycle as the Phils beat the Cubs 11-6. We'll be back tomorrow to update you on the Skeens-Wheeler matchup, as well as any of the Flyers and Sixers moves in free agency. Of course, if there's any news out of Eagles camp, we will bring that to you as well. But I'm going to say this one more time. Elliot, hit me up. I know you're listening, because Lucy with the football, that's a great analogy for the Sixers. So hit me up, bro. Hit me up. Be safe out there today. Make sure you drink plenty of water. Stay inside if you can. It's going to be disgustingly hot and humid. That's the worst. Good luck to the United States tonight as they look to move on to the round of 16 against the Bosnia-Herzegovina team. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for July 1st, 2026. My name is Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a hump day. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.